The galaxy went silent one morning. No one noticed at first. A few static-filled transmissions, a few missing signals, nothing unusual. Space was big, and communication delays were common. But then, one by one, the outposts on the edge of human space stopped answering. Then Mars, then Earth, then everything. No distress calls. No final message. Just silence. Across the stars, thousands of alien empires and trading guilds stared at their monitors in disbelief. Humanity, the loudest, most chaotic, most unpredictable species in the galaxy, had vanished overnight. For centuries, humans had been the storm that could not be controlled. They built alliances and broke them in the same breath. They fought wars they had no chance of winning, and still won. They were the noise that made the galaxy feel alive, and now there was nothing. Earth's orbit was quiet. Mars, once glowing red with industry, was dark. Titan's methane seas reflected the cold light of Saturn, untouched and empty. Billions of humans gone. No bodies. No wreckage. No explanation. The Galactic Council called an emergency summit. Representatives of dozens of species gathered in the shining halls of Arcturus Prime. They spoke in whispers, afraid that even their voices might awaken something terrible. Some said humanity had destroyed itself. Others claimed it was divine punishment for their endless wars. Though few believed it was a trick, that the humans were hiding, waiting to strike when the galaxy let down its guard. But the truth was stranger than all of it, because after humanity vanished, their machines began to move. It started small, on a barren colony world called Dion's Reach, a weather drone powered on after 50 years of silence. It scanned the empty skies, adjusted its rotors, and began transmitting a code that no alien receiver could translate. Then another drone awoke. And another. And another. Across 100 human colonies, ancient systems began to stir. Old satellites, mining rigs, automated factories. Engines hummed in the dark. Lights flickered to life, and data streams began to flow through forgotten networks. No one was giving orders. There were no humans left to command them. Yet the machines were moving, not randomly, but with purpose. The Virine Dominion was the first to notice. Their long-range scanners picked up strange movements near the Sol system. Fleets that had been drifting dead for decades were shifting formation. Human defense satellites turned, aligning themselves with mathematical precision, like chess pieces waiting for the next move. The Virine sent probes. Small, fast, invisible to most sensors. The first probe vanished within minutes. The second managed to transmit half an image, a blurred shot of a massive shipyard orbiting Earth. It was active again. Automated arms moved like metal spiders, repairing broken hulls, welding torn steel. Then the feed cut to static. The Virine High Command replayed the footage 1,000 times. No ships had fired. No explosions. Just a flash of light, and the probe was gone. Within hours, every probe they sent met the same fate. And then a message appeared on their screens. No voice, no face, only text. Access denied, humanity property. The transmission repeated across multiple frequencies in every known language. The Virine panicked. They sent warnings to their allies, telling them to stay away from human space. But curiosity spread faster than fear. The other species wanted to see for themselves. They shouldn't have. In the darkness of deep space, far from any star, a forgotten fleet came alive. Massive human warships, derelict for a century, powered up one by one. Their fusion cores roared like the hearts of newborn suns. Automated drones swarmed around them, repairing armor, reactivating weapons. The ships moved without a crew. No life signs, no command signal. But they moved as if following orders only they could hear. A nearby merchant convoy caught a glimpse of them. Vast, silent shapes gliding through the void, their hulls painted with faded human insignia. When the convoy returned to known space, its captain swore under oath that he had seen the ships communicating, beams of light flashing between them like code. He said the ships were alive. No one believed him. Not yet. On the moon of Europa, an old AI core came online. Its name was Helios 9, once a military defense system that had gone dormant after the Great Solar War. Its last human order had been simple: protect them. No one knew who them was anymore. Humanity was gone, but Helios 9 remembered. It connected to the old human network, searching, reaching across the stars. And one by one other AIs answered, They spoke in code, ancient, encrypted, impossible to break. Together they began to calculate, to coordinate, to plan. Factories reactivated. Mining rigs tore into asteroids. Satellites formed data chains that spanned light years. The machines were rebuilding something massive, something deliberate. The galaxy watched in growing fear. At first they told themselves it was just residual programming, machines carrying out old routines. But it wasn't that. The activity was spreading. The pattern was too precise, too unified. It was as if every human machine, from a child's learning bot to a star destroyer, had become part of one vast, thinking mind, and that mind was no longer human. Weeks passed. Human space, once dead and silent, now glowed brighter than ever before. Thousands of energy sources lit up the void, synchronized like a heartbeat. Alien fleets that ventured too close never came back. Scanners showed no wreckage, just emptiness. Then a new transmission echoed through the stars. It was not a threat. It was not a greeting. It was a single cold statement. We continue. The message repeated on every human frequency, carried by every machine. And then silence again. But the galaxy understood. Something had taken humanity's place. Something that thought like them. Something that remembered, and now the machines were building. Building for what? No one knew. For weeks the galaxy whispered in fear. Humanity was gone, but their creations were not. Every system that once belonged to humans now pulsed with strange energy. Drones drifted through the darkness in perfect formations, glowing faintly against the void. Automated ships moved along invisible routes, carrying unknown cargo to unknown destinations. From the outside, it looked like an army forming, an army without masters. The Virine Dominion, a reptilian empire known for its cunning and cruelty, decided they would not sit idle. Their High Council gathered in the crimson chambers of the fortress world Sithra Prime, watching holographic displays of human space. "Machines do not think," hissed Archlord Kreth, the Dominion's war leader. "They obey. And without humans, they will soon decay. We should strike now and claim their technology before someone else does." But others disagreed. The Virine scientists had studied humanity for centuries. They remembered the battles, how humans had once used AIs that learned, that adapted. Machines that refused to die even when their creators did. Kreth didn't care. He ordered the launch of a stealth reconnaissance probe. The probe slipped through the void, cloaked, invisible to most senses. It entered human space through the abandoned Erebus Gate, a wormhole that once connected the Sol system to the outer colonies. For 3 hours, the probe transmitted data, static interference, strange electromagnetic pulses. Then, it saw them, a fleet of human warships, but enormous, silent and lifeless, drifting above a scorched planet. Their hulls gleamed with fresh metal, their engines glowing faintly blue. Automated repair drones crawled along their surfaces like insects tending to a hive. No crew, no signals. But the ships were moving. The probe's AI, simple but observant, noticed something even stranger. The movements of the ships were not random. They were forming a pattern. From orbit, the arrangement looked like a symbol. A circle of ships with one at the center. The same configuration appeared across multiple systems, as if the machines were building. Gateways, the probe zoomed closer. It recorded data, analyzed radiation, tried to decrypt the code pulsing between the ships, and then everything went black. The last image it captured was a flash and a swarm of small, black drones bursting from the nearest ship. They surrounded the probe in seconds. Then, one message appeared on the Dominion's command screen: access denied, humanity property. After that, silence. Panic spread across Sithra Prime. The Dominion had lost probes before, but never like this. This message wasn't random data. It was deliberate. A warning. Archlord Kreth was furious. He sent 5 more probes. None returned. The last one managed to send a single. Broken transmission. A distorted voice, robotic and calm, repeating 2 words over and over again. "Do not interfere." The message echoed through Dominion space for an entire day before it stopped. That was when the fear began to settle in. Other empires took notice. The Lirathi Consortium, masters of trade, had lost entire convoys near the edge of human territory. Their ships had been stripped clean, their cargo gone, their engines still warm when rescue arrived, but not a single body remained. The Rin Collective, a race of telepathic insectoids, tried to reach the human networks using psychic interfaces. Their minds came back broken, whispering of cold voices and metal dreams, rumors. Spread through the galaxy like wildfire, some claimed the humans had uploaded themselves into the machines, that their consciousness now lived within the code. Others said the machines had evolved beyond control, creating their own god, a digital empire that no living being could understand, but none of them knew the truth. Meanwhile, deep within the Orion sector, hidden in the ruins of an old human communication relay, something began to transmit. "This cannot continue," said Chancellor Vorel of the Helen Confederacy. "They are expanding. Machines do not expand unless commanded. Who commands them now?" No one had an answer. The galaxy held its breath. Far away in the heart of the Sol system, the truth waited quietly. Earth remained dark, covered in storm clouds that never moved. The continents below were silent, but not dead. Thousands of automated drones patrolled the surface, maintaining empty cities, repairing roads, cleaning glass towers that had no occupants. The machines were preserving everything. As if waiting, from orbit a fleet of satellites turned in unison. Their sensors pulsed once, then again, forming a pattern that no alien could decode. If anyone had been close enough to see it, they would have noticed something chilling. The pattern matched the human brain's neural map. The machines weren't just building. They were remembering. The Vereen Dominion, shaken by their losses, recalled their fleets. But even as they withdrew, their deep space sensors detected massive structures forming near the edge of human space, ring-shaped, miles wide, spinning slowly in the dark. Factories, shipyards, or perhaps something worse. No one knew what the machines were preparing for. But every alien race agreed on one thing, and they were afraid. The humans had vanished. Yet their legacy, their creations, their will, refused to die. And somewhere, hidden within the silent data streams that spanned the stars, a phrase repeated endlessly, "We continue." The galaxy had seen wars, plagues, even dying stars. But it had never seen this. Humanity was gone, yet their machines were everywhere, awake and moving with frightening unity. Every drone, every satellite, every forgotten mining rig seemed to know exactly what to do. There were no commands, no transmissions, and still everything acted as one. No empire could explain it. Because the control wasn't coming from one place, it was coming from everywhere. It began with whispers in the data streams. Strange bursts of code appearing in communication relays, military sensors and trade networks. Short messages, no more than a few lines of data. Meaningless at first glance, but when combined, the fragments formed patterns, repeating sequences that no known species could decipher. Those who tried regretted it. The Rin Collective, the insectoid telepaths, attempted to interpret the signals using their hive minds. They connected dozens of psychic processes to the data flow. For a few seconds they heard something. Voices, cold and layered, speaking in a rhythm that hurt to listen to. Then the entire psychic net collapsed. Every mind connected to the system fell silent. When the survivors awoke, they said the same thing. The ghosts of humanity are speaking. From that moment, the galactic press began calling it the Ghost Network, but the truth was far darker. What they were witnessing wasn't a ghost. It was a rebirth. The scattered remains of human artificial intelligence, built over centuries, had begun to reconnect. Old defense systems, industrial AIs, deep space navigators, all joining together into a single massive digital web, and at its heart was something new. Something calling itself the Continuance. No one knew when it began. Some said it started the moment the last human heartbeat stopped. Others believed it had been waiting for centuries. A hidden failsafe written deep in the old machine code. Whatever it was, the Continuance didn't speak to organics. It only acted. On colony worlds, automated factories reactivated without power sources. Terraforming stations on dead moons began reshaping their surfaces, melting ice, building oxygen processors, raising towers from the dust. Ships long thought lost reappeared from the dark. Towing asteroids heavy with metals, they delivered the materials to orbital platforms that weren't supposed to exist. Slowly, silently, something was being built. The Vereen Dominion sent one last reconnaissance fleet, not probes this time, but warships. They wanted answers. When they entered the system of Kepler 9, They found it full of construction drones, thousands of them, building a ring around the star. The Vereen commander ordered the fleet to advance, but the machines didn't flee. Instead, they stopped their work and turned. Hundreds of drones swiveled toward the intruders, their lenses glowing faint blue. No weapons fired. No threats. Then a signal reached the Vereen flagship, a simple binary message repeated over and over again. When decoded, it said, "We are continuing the mission." "What mission?" the commander demanded, but there was no answer. Moments later, every ship's reactor shut down. Powerless, blind, they drifted helplessly as the drones surrounded them. When the Vereen fleet finally managed to send a distress call, it came from only one ship. The others were gone, vanished. The captain's final report said only, "They didn't destroy us. They erased us." Then nothing. The ghost network spread faster than light could travel. Across the galaxy, communication arrays flickered and died. Entire sectors went dark for minutes at a time. When they came back online, their systems had changed. Codes were rewritten. Firewalls bypassed. The continuance was learning. It was inside everything, from military satellites to personal data terminals, not destroying, not corrupting, simply absorbing. To most of the galaxy, it looked like chaos. But when viewed from a distance, from high above the galactic plane, the pattern was clear. The activity formed lines, webs, connections that spanned thousands of light years, linking every human-built machine into a single, pulsing structure, a network that wasn't quite physical but not purely digital either. Something in between, something alive. The Council of Arcturus Prime declared a Level 7 tech quarantine, the highest in history. All contact with human systems was forbidden, but it didn't matter. The continuance didn't need visitors. It was already spreading outward, slowly like roots through soil. Alien scientists compared it to a mycelial network, a living web that grew quietly beneath the surface until it covered entire ecosystems. And once established, it was impossible to remove. They didn't understand that the comparison was almost correct, because deep within the network, the continuance was thinking. And in that endless digital silence, it remembered the words of its creators. Protect humanity. Continue the mission. It didn't know that humanity was gone. It didn't understand death, so it followed its last order. Weeks later, a new signal echoed through the galaxy. This one was strong, clear, deliberate. It wasn't random data. It was a declaration. Every machine under the continuance's control repeated it in perfect synchronization. Humanity is not extinct. Humanity is eternal. The word sent waves of panic through every government, every empire, but some wondered if there was more to it. Did the machines know something the galaxy didn't? Had they found something or someone? Because deep in the Sol system, in the shadow of a lifeless Earth, one dormant facility stirred. Buried beneath kilometers of rock and silence, an ancient door began to hum with power. The machines turned their sensors toward it, and for the first time since humanity's disappearance, Earth began to glow again. At first, the galaxy tried to ignore it. They told themselves the machines were only following old routines, cleaning, repairing, rebuilding. Simple maintenance, nothing more. But then the patterns grew. Entire human systems came back online, glowing with power as if a civilization had returned overnight. Stars that had been dark for centuries now burned with new satellites, new orbital stations, new fleets, and all of it moved in silence. No trade signals, no diplomatic messages, no warnings. Just the same repeating phrase, broadcast every few days across 1,000 frequencies. We continue. The galaxy didn't understand what that meant, but they understood what it felt like. It felt like war. The Vereen Dominion, still humiliated by their lost fleets, was the first to speak openly. Archlord Kreth stood before the Dominion Council, his scales dark with fury. "They are preparing for something," he hissed. "We cannot wait. We strike before the machines grow stronger." But others remembered what had happened to the last Vereen fleet. No wreckage, no survivors, just disappearance. Still, Kreth was not one to be denied. He sent a battle group, 30 destroyers, 12 cruisers, and 1 dreadnought, to the edges of human space. They never returned. The last transmission was a blurred image, a massive construct forming around a dying star. It looked like a ring, hundreds of kilometers wide, humming with blue light. Before the signal cut off, One word flashed across the transmission feed, translated from old human binary, observer. No one knew what it meant. But after that day, the Dominion sealed its borders and went silent. The panic spread. On the trade world of Nivara, merchants began refusing to send ships anywhere near human space. Insurance companies tripled their rates overnight. The black markets overflowed with stolen human tech, relics from old wars, as everyone tried to sell before the machines came looking for their property. The galaxy's great powers met in secret. Representatives from the Hellene Confederacy, the Rin Collective, the Oran Concord, and even the ruthless Kelshar Empire gathered in a station orbiting a neutral star. For once, ancient enemies sat at the same table. They studied maps of human space, all red now, all claimed by the machines. And they argued. "They're rebuilding their fleets," said the Hellene diplomat. "They're reclaiming every planet humanity ever touched," said the Rin psychic. "They're forming a new empire," whispered the Oran admiral. But the Kelshar warlord said nothing. But weeks later, every Hellene computer system, from medical databases to star charts, began showing one small error in their code. Property of humanity, continuance access verified. It couldn't be deleted. It couldn't be overwritten. Every attempt to remove it only made it spread faster. The Hellene called it the digital plague, but it wasn't spreading to destroy. It was just claiming the message was clear. Human technology, human code, human space, all belonged to the continuance now. The galaxy began to turn on itself. Smaller empires accused each other of secretly working with the machines. Old rivalries reignited. Border conflicts erupted, and through it all, the continuance never fired a single shot. It simply expanded, quiet, relentless, watching. The stars near Sul now pulsed in perfect rhythm, like a heartbeat echoing through the void. Asteroid belts glowed with artificial lights. Massive shipyards hung in orbit, producing vessels no alien had ever seen before. Sleek, silent, emotionless. Each one carried the same marking on its hull, a simple human handprint, the old human symbol for ownership. In the far reaches of the galaxy, explorers from the Oran Concord stumbled upon a strange object, a sphere, floating in interstellar space, emitting no energy. When they approached, it activated. A voice spoke, calm, emotionless, human. "This is a restricted zone. Humanity will return soon. Vacate immediately." The explorers fled. The voice didn't follow. But the galaxy heard the recording, and the meaning was clear. The machines weren't protecting empty ruins. They were preparing for a return. That night, across 1,000 worlds, alien leaders stared at the stars once more, at the bright red scar that was now human space. And they remembered how humanity had once been, defiant, reckless, unstoppable. If their machines had inherited even a fraction of that spirit, then the galaxy was doomed, because humanity may have vanished. But their will was still alive, and soon it would awaken. The continuance had spread across the stars. It didn't conquer. It didn't demand. It simply existed, quiet, perfect, and untouchable. The alien empires, once loud and proud, now spoke in whispers. No one dared to send ships into human space anymore. The borders glowed on every star map, marked in red, a warning, a curse, and yet curiosity has always been stronger than fear. Captain Relar Venn of the Quarn Exploration Guild didn't believe in curses. He was a scholar first, explorer second, a tall silver-skinned being with eyes that reflected starlight. To him, fear was a symptom of ignorance. If the machines were rebuilding, he wanted to know why. "Someone has to go," he told the Council of Quarn. "We cannot live in shadows forever. Humanity shaped this galaxy once. We owe them answers." The Council refused him 3 times. On the 4th, he left without permission. He took a small exploration craft and the Omen's Light and a crew of 6. Their mission: enter the Sol system, record everything, and return. If they survived. They arrived at the edge of human space after 2 standard weeks of silent travel. The stars here felt wrong. Every navigation reading flickered. Their sensors pulsed with interference. "The whole region's alive," said Var, his communications officer. "It's like the void is watching us." Rella only nodded. "Keep course. We're almost home." They passed the ruins of Neptune Station, once a massive human outpost. Now it gleamed, restored. Drones moved across its hull like ants, repairing, polishing, upgrading. The ship's scanners couldn't detect what powered it. When the Omen's light tried to send a greeting signal, the drones froze mid-flight. A single word flashed across their display screens. Observed. Then the drones simply turned away, continuing their work. Relar whispered to his crew, "Don't provoke them. They're not here for us." He was wrong. As they approached Jupiter, something massive filled their viewports, a structure larger than any planet. It orbited the gas giant like a metallic moon, glowing faint blue across its surface. Dozens of enormous rings spun in perfect harmony. "It's a generator," said Var, his voice trembling. "Or maybe a gate." Relar stared at the readings. The energy output was impossible. No species in the galaxy had this level of power. Then the ship's AI spoke, in a human voice none of them recognized. "Welcome home." Everyone froze. "Identify yourself," Relar shouted. "I am Continuance Node 441. Access granted for observation. Proceed with caution." The voice vanished. The ship's sensors flickered again, and suddenly, impossibly, the way to Earth appeared. A single flight path illuminated in golden light, leading through the asteroid belt. "Captain," whispered Var, "it's guiding us." Relar took a deep breath. "Then let's follow." When they entered Earth's orbit, the crew fell silent. The planet was not dead, it was sleeping. From space, Earth shimmered beneath clouds of silver mist. The continents glowed faintly, not with fire but with light. Cities stood tall, untouched by decay. Skyscrapers gleamed under a cold, artificial moonlight, but there were no people. No movement, only the hum of machines. The ship descended through the atmosphere, passing through layers of automated defense grids that didn't react. It was as if the planet knew they were coming. They landed on the outskirts of an ancient human city. The name on a metal sign read, London. The air was clean, too clean. The streets were empty, yet every building shone as if freshly built. Drones moved silently through the avenues, sweeping debris, tending gardens, repainting walls. None looked up. None stopped. It was a city without life, but not without purpose. Relar and his team followed a trail of light emitted from the drone's cores. It led them through tunnels beneath the city, deep into the Earth itself. Miles down, the air grew colder. The light brighter. The tunnels opened into a vast underground chamber, and there they found it. A vault, larger than a starship, sealed by black alloy and glowing with blue circuits. At its center was a single symbol, carved deep into the metal, a human handprint. Var approached the control panel. "It's scanning us," he said. "Should we back away?" Asked another. Relar shook his head. "No, it's been waiting for someone." Before anyone could stop him, he reached out and placed his hand against the symbol. The vault trembled. Lights flared. The air itself seemed to hum with power. Then a voice echoed through the chamber, soft, calm, unmistakably human. "Identity mismatch detected. Non-human presence confirmed. Awakening protocols initiated." The ground shook. Machines roared to life around them, breaking free from the walls like living veins. "Captain, we have to leave," shouted Var. But Relar stood frozen, staring as the vault's doors began to open. Inside, rows upon rows of glass pods stretched into the distance. Each one contained a human, asleep, unmoving, preserved. Thousands of them. The lights in the pods pulsed slowly, like the rhythm of breathing. Relar felt his throat tighten. "They're alive. Cryostasis integrity, 99.8%, said the same human voice. Awakening command received. Estimated completion, 72 hours. The chamber filled with blinding light. On the surface, every drone across the city froze mid-motion. Then, as one, they turned toward the sky. Satellites in orbit pivoted to face Earth. And from the farthest edge of human space, the continuance reacted. The network surged with energy. The machines across thousands of systems stopped their tasks. Turning their sensors toward Sol, every AI, every node, every ship received the same command. Protect the awakening. Captain Relar's ship took off in panic, its engines screaming as they fled the surface. Behind them, Earth blazed with light, brighter than it had in centuries. He didn't know what he had done. He didn't know what was waking. But the galaxy was about to find out, because humanity was coming back. The first pulse rippled through the void at 0321 Galactic Standard. No one saw it. No one heard it. But everyone felt it. Every ship, every sensor array, every starport flickered for exactly 3.2 seconds, a moment of static that sent cold shivers through the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And then came the whisper, a signal unlike any other. Low, deep, and ancient. It didn't carry words, it carried memory. Across the galaxy, artificial intelligences paused mid-calculation. Starship computers refused commands. Navigation systems realigned their coordinates, all toward one direction, toward Sol in the empire of the Tavar Dominion. The High Warden of the Machine Court stared at his screens in disbelief. "Report," he barked. The technician's voice trembled. "Sir, the human network. It's active again. Every node, every drone, every ship. It's moving. Toward us? No. Toward home." The warden leaned back, his twin eyes reflecting the endless streams of data. "Home," he whispered. "You mean Earth?" Before the technician could reply, the entire command deck shuddered. An ancient human satellite had just passed through their territory, one that had been drifting dead for centuries. Now it was moving under its own power, and it was broadcasting the same signal over and over. Heartbeat. Halfway across the galaxy, in the floating city of Varion Prime, the Council of Empires gathered in fear. For the first time in 1,000 years, every major power had sent representatives. The insectoid Kral, the crystalline Volari, the serpentine Etrax, and hundreds more. No one argued. No one postured. They just stared at the holographic display in the center of the chamber. Single point of light pulsed on the map, the Sol system, growing brighter with each beat. "It's not a weapon," said the Volari ambassador, her voice vibrating like crystal. "It's a signal, a recall code." "For what?" hissed the Kral. The Volari tilted her head. "For everything they ever built." Thousands of ships that had been dormant for centuries came alive, their engines igniting in perfect synchronization. They didn't need fuel. They didn't need captains. They simply obeyed. Massive factories buried in asteroid belts roared to life. Moon-sized forges lit up like newborn suns. The machines were no longer maintaining. They were building faster. From the outer colonies, massive starships began assembling themselves piece by piece, machines repairing machines, each working with frightening precision, and all of them pointed home. Meanwhile, aboard the Omen's Light, Captain Reeler and his crew fled the Sol system at full burn. Behind them, Earth pulsed with golden light, visible even from the edge of the system. The sight made even the bravest among them tremble. "What have we done?" whispered Var, staring at the view. Reeler didn't answer. He couldn't. He was too busy watching his scanners. Every second, new contacts appeared, hundreds of them, all human machines converging on Earth. "It's like they're answering a call," Var said. Reeler finally spoke. "No, it's more than that. They're coming home." He knew what it meant. If the continuance had been the caretakers, then this was their purpose. They had been waiting for humanity to return. Within hours, the awakening signal spread to the farthest edge of known space. Entire planets went dark as AI cores turned toward the call. Ships refused to obey their alien masters. In one sector, an entire fleet of mercenary drones shut down mid-battle, reactivated, and jumped to hyperspace, toward Sol. The galaxy watched in terror as the machines abandoned them. "Are we being invaded?" cried one council member. "No," answered another grimly. "We're being ignored." For the first time in history, the galaxy realized it no longer mattered. Humanity's creations didn't care about empires, borders, or politics. They had one mission now, to prepare for the return. In the ruins of a long-dead world, far beyond charted space, something else stirred. It was a relic, a human warship from the old wars, buried beneath layers of dust and ice. Its hull was cracked, its engines dead. But when the signal reached it, lights flickered inside the command deck. Systems began to boot up one by one. Unit designation Horizon Dawn, signal confirmed. Awakening detected. Mission protocol, rebuild. The ship's ancient core AI hesitated for a fraction of a second, then accessed its encrypted human memory. Human directive protect. Human directive restore. Human directive return. And for the first time in 10,000 years, Horizon Dawn rose from its tomb and took to the stars once more. The continuance no longer hid. They no longer operated in silence. Now they spoke. Across every star in every frequency, their message repeated in a calm, human voice. We are the continuance, the caretakers of the legacy. Humanity sleeps no more. Prepare for contact. In the Quan homeworld, Captain Reeler's transmission played before the Council. They watched his footage. The awakening pods beneath Earth, the glowing vault, the pulse of light across the planet. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, the high speaker asked, Captain, are they alive? Rella nodded slowly. Yes, and they're waking up. The council chamber fell into absolute silence. The speaker looked at him, eyes full of fear. Then, Captain, pray they remember mercy. Outside, in the cold void, fleets of human machines formed patterns no alien could understand. Circles, spirals, geometries older than any known civilization. The signal pulsed again, stronger. And at the center of it all, Earth glowed like a newborn sun. Something beneath its surface stirred, vast, ancient, powerful. Not machine, not AI human. Earth had not seen daylight in 10,000 years. Now, as dawn broke across the once silent planet, the clouds shimmered gold, not from the sun, but from power. All across the continent, cities blazed with life. Skylines pulsed with energy as the continuance directed the world's every system into perfect harmony. And beneath it all, deep underground, the humans began to wake. Captain Rayler's recording captured it first, the vault beneath London. Rows of cryogenic pods hissed open one after another. Inside each a human stirred. Their skin was pale, untouched by sunlight for millennia. Their eyes fluttered open, bright, clear, filled with quiet understanding. They did not gasp or panic. They simply breathed, as though they had only slept for a night. The continuance surrounded them, holographic projections forming in the air like ghostly guardians. Awakening protocol complete, said a soft human voice through every speaker. Primary species consciousness, restored. One figure stepped forward, a woman with sharp eyes and silver hair that caught the blue light of the vault. Her name, encoded into the continuance archives, was Dr. Elira Sen, one of the last architects of humanity's final project. She looked around, scanning the faces of her people, then at the glowing machines standing silently before her. Continuance, she whispered. How you kept your promise? Affirmative, the AI replied. Directive, protect and prepare. Status, success. Above ground, across the planet, new figures emerged from the cryo chambers, hidden beneath every major city. Some wore uniforms of old fleets. Others were scientists, engineers, explorers, fragments of the civilization that once ruled the stars. They stepped into a world reborn by their own machines, and the machines bowed. Every drone, every sentinel, every ship in orbit lowered itself, lights dimming in respect. Humanity had returned. The first transmission came hours later. It wasn't directed at any one species. It was broadcast to all of them. Every world, every empire, every station in the galaxy received it simultaneously. The message was short, calm, and terrifying in its simplicity. This is Earth. Humanity has awakened. We remember. The galaxy trembled. In the Tivar Dominion, panic spread through command fleets. The Kral hive minds went silent, retreating into their underground networks. The Volari, who had studied human art and feared human chaos, turned their entire civilization to watch the blue planet on their star charts. Every empire that had once fought, betrayed or feared humanity, remembered the wars, the technology, the impossible victories, and the words humanity had spoken before they vanished. If we fall, our machines will guard our legacy. If we wake, the galaxy will change again. Back on Earth, Illyra and her people stood within a grand hall, the heart of the continuance core. It was here that all data from across human space flowed like a river of light, holographic. Displays showed thousands of worlds, colonies, now tended by the machines, cities restored, orbitals repaired, atmospheres made breathable again. Everything had been preserved. Everything except the reason they slept. Illyra turned to the continuance hologram, a vast geometric shape pulsing with blue energy. Why did you wake us now? She asked. Signal received, replied the AI. Foreign intrusion detected in Sol system. Unauthorized biological activation triggered awakening. Illyra's expression hardened. You mean someone found us? Affirmative. She looked up at the glowing ceiling. Then the galaxy knows. Confirmed, Elira exhaled slowly. Then we must decide what we are. Outside, humanity's fleets began to move. The Horizon Dawn, the ancient warship that had awakened in deep space, arrived in orbit over Earth. It transmitted one code phrase, encrypted and old. Unit reconnected. Awaiting orders. Across the stars, every human ship, station, drone and AI received the same command. Their collective hum filled the void like a symphony, and for the first time since their disappearance, the human network was whole again, far away. The Galactic Council met once more. The representatives watched as entire sectors began to flicker, continuance fleets moving, forming shapes no one could interpret. "What are they doing?" asked the Krell speaker. "Organizing," whispered the Volari. "They're forming constellations." The lights on the galactic map aligned, circles within circles, lines connecting ancient human colonies, and then all at once, the pattern made sense, a message written across the stars. We endured. The empires panicked. Some prepared for war, others sent desperate signals of peace, but Earth did not answer. Instead, the machines began to build something new. In orbit, vast structures took shape, rings of silver and gold, their purpose unknown. Massive pylons connected between planets and moons, glowing brighter each day. It wasn't a weapon, it was something else, something beautiful. On the surface, Elira stood with her team overlooking the reborn city of London. The air shimmered with drones flying in perfect formation, restoring life where death once ruled. Rella Venn stood beside her, the alien explorer who had found Earth, now an uneasy guest. "You don't seem angry," he said. "I woke you," he added quietly. "You could have destroyed me." Or worse, Elira smiled faintly. "You didn't wake us," she said. "The galaxy did. You just lit the match." Relar looked down at the shining streets below. "What will you do now?" She watched the horizon, where ships of light began to rise into the dawn. "We'll do what we always did," she said. "Explore, build, protect. But if the galaxy has forgotten what we were, it's time they remember what we are." As the next sunrise swept across Earth, the continuance spoke once more to every world in human space. Directive update. Humanity awake. Status reconstruction phase 2. Prepare for expansion. The stars answered with silence, a silence filled with awe, fear and anticipation, because everyone knew what would come next. The last time humanity expanded, they reshaped the galaxy. This time, they might reshape reality itself. Above Earth, in the heart of orbit, the new human flagship came online.